right. I am back with another Destiny 2 video, and this time I'm going over the surprising amount of communication that Bungie has given us as of yesterday, which started with the surprise removal of the starter pack that everyone, myself included, was complaining about yesterday. They delisted it from the store, and I thought that might be the end of it, but they started posting about it and a bunch of whole other things. So I wanted to dig back a little bit into what they actually said. To recap, the starter pack stuff was absurd. I didn't do a video on it, but I did do an article on it yesterday, and it was this total ripoff of a deal that was a couple exotics, couple materials, couple cosmetics for $15, which you can buy some expansions for that. You can buy the Forsaken pack for $5. You could just buy this season. So it was a bad deal for the money, but also being labeled as a starter pack was like actively deceptive to new players, because you would buy that and that would not help you start anything really at all. The stuff you get from like the new light quests, like Risk Runner and things like that, are way more useful than those exotics. And cosmetics, no one needs those. And materials, you could probably farm all those in an hour or two if you wanted to. So they delisted it completely. Some are calling for it to be made free, which in a perfect world, yeah, sure, but that's a little more technical, I imagine, than just hitting a button and delisting it from the store. They did comment on it. So what they said was, "Hey everyone, we launched the Season of the Wish yesterday and have been monitoring the conversation around what you've been enjoying and what you haven't. We'll start things off with the starter pack, which is not something bringing joy." I love the Marie Kondo phrasing, which is why we pulled it from stores. "We've heard your concerns and agree there are other parts of Destiny 2 that new players should want to dive into first before chasing these exotic weapons, cosmetics, and upgrade materials." Yeah, that is true. And then this leads into the second thing. Sorry, I muted this person because I found them annoying. Do Blindwell next, and they say, okay. So they did that too. That was the new thing they moved on to. This was the fact that you had to do Blindwell. Essentially, this is the second step of the seasonal quest. Like, you do the first mission, and then it's like, go do Blindwell twice. You have to do it twice at tier 4 to progress, and that seemed like a bad sign for the coming season, given that it's doing world activities and stuff like that is kind of filler material. So I don't know. I didn't love it. I wasn't like super mad about it, but here's what they said. "We've heard that asking players to go back to the Blind Well as part of this first week's story is a sore spot. One of our goals here was to make sure players knew from the start that there's increased difficulty and new loot to earn from this activity." So that's true. They did scale it up to, I don't know, something. The guys in there are swords now. So that means they are, I would imagine it's fixed power level, but I'm not 100% sure. It's still not hard. The mechanics are the same. Stay in the bubble, shoot things. The bosses are a little chunkier, but with 6 people or 4 people or whatever, many people show up, it's not that hard. The loot pool sort of sucks because it has all the current armor, all the Reverie Dawn armor that was reprised, all Season of the Lost weapons still, and then it has the new reprised Season of the Wish Dreaming City weapons. And those are like the good ones people want, but literally opening any secret shard chests, whatever they're called, in the coil means you can get any of those Dreaming City weapons pretty much automatically. I think it's almost guaranteed you're going to get one in one of those chests. So this really only works for free-to-play players because they can dive into Blindwell, but you're never, ever going to want to farm Blindwell for any reason, despite this update. Like, I'm not against them updating things for, to be in line with the modern power level, because, like, Lord knows there was no point doing Blindwell before, but the rewards they have are just not, you can't really do it searching for something specific, and it's very time consuming, so whatever. And then they say you won't need to go back every week. Players will only be asked to return to the Blind Well once in Season 6, and it will be an opt-in activity after that for the rest of the season. For the completionists out there, we'll have one seasonal challenge tied to the Blind Well later in the season, and one heroic Blind Well completion requirement from the seal. Okay, whatever. Do Blindwell a couple of times. It's not the end of the world, but that was a weird decision. I don't know. It's just like it's cool they updated it, I guess, but just an odd decision if you ask me, especially with the loot pool the way it is. Okay, so this is about the coil and Riven's Lair. From the community so far, we're happy to see the love for the coil and Riven's Lair from the community so far. I just learned that Riven's Lair is just like a super easy one run version of the coil, which gives you one chest. It's like a little strike. I guess that's for people who don't want to do the loops. It's just a little strange. We wanted to make sure loot was front and center, especially for those who go platinum. Remember, this is week 1. Different paths through the coil will be rotating as the season unfolds. However, the shard economy is a bit too unforgiving based on our early observations. A team is looking into improving this so the path to platinum is still possible even if you don't collect every shard from every pot. Speaking of loot, the team has already fixed an issue that prevented all players from getting loot from the chest at the end of a Riven's Lair run. So the shard economy, I don't know I think it's like 150k. I heard it was 160. Which means you need every pot plus like one of these randomly spawning shard guys. But I just did a run where we did get I think we got almost all the pots, but we didn't have a shard guy and we were like 156 and we got it. We got it, the wish room that has 6 extra chests or 6 bonus chests. And so that was, I'm assuming the bridge was, or the thing was 150 there, but they're going to make it even, well, I don't know if they'll make it lower, but they're going to do something with the shard economy to make it not as crazy to get that. It's a nutty amount of loot, man. Like I just posted this right before I started filming this. This is the amount of loot I got from one run, doing all 4 paths, getting the wish chest. Like you remember Menagerie? It was like you would do the chest glitch. First of all, and that would get you like 7 like weapons. Granted, they were targeted weapons, but that was like the max, and you were supposed to be getting 1 or 2 after they patched it. Here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, with 2 red bars, and then I had about 3 or 4 more on my character itself that didn't go to the postmaster. So that is 20 weapons, and a couple of them were armor pieces in my on my character. But like, that's crazy. That's totally crazy. It's great. I think it's great. Drowning people in loot is always fun, and I got some good rolls in there. I don't think you can craft the Dreaming City weapons, so you are looking for random rolls on those. The other, all the seasonal weapons obviously can be crafted, and so can the reprised Undying weapons. But it's fun to have more loot than less loot, especially with the way things have been lately. So I am fully in support of that, and I do think that's one of the reasons Coil is going really well. Okay, PvP. This obviously does not concern me, but people were worried about that control was not available at all. Like there essentially is no normal Crucible mode this week at all. They said it will be selectable when Checkmate control is active. Learn more in the TWAB. They think that Checkmate is going to, or we think Checkmate is going to consume all of Crucible because people like Checkmate, but they are saying that's not going to happen. They are going to use some things from Checkmate, but not all of it. And there's something wrong with Checkmate special ammo, and they're going to fix that. Checkmate time to kill, they will be tuning that. And then they are reducing body shot damage, increased skill gap with faster time to kill on headshots. Issues in Countdown Rush, the Citadel, and Multiplex. They will be disabling those 2 maps in competitive. Citadel was the new one, right? I don't know what's happening here. I did hear about people not getting the new competitive pulse rifle for placements. I think you could get it on like 1 character or something like that. And then Iron Banner kicks off Tuesday with the new tribute mode. We've got good news. Lord Saladin will start selling Iron Banner armor ornaments from years 1 and 2. The elusive Iron Simichi, don't know, will return as the base set at last. Put those Iron Banner engrams to work. As you may know, this has been something I have been complaining about for years at this point because I was not playing Iron Banner or much of anything in Destiny 1 Year 1 to care enough to get those ornaments, although now when we have Transmog, I really, really wish I had those ornaments because some of them are awesome. And at long last, they have put them back in the game's earnable. They're not sold for silver. Each piece costs 3 Iron Banner engrams and some glimmer. I would not normally care about playing Iron Banner at all. I will play a metric shit ton of Iron Banner until I unlock all of these sets on all characters. That is how much I've been looking for them to come back. Josh from, he said, like, I forget what the exact job title is, but like economy, he does economy stuff. He said that I have complained the most about this over the years. Not full credit to me, but at least some. And I'm really happy about this. Like, I think I've never understood it. I thought they could just make the ornaments even like the base sets, you know, for Iron Banner if they didn't have an armor refresh or something. So that's very cool. I'm very excited about that. Probably the best news out of everything here. And anti-barrier sidearms. We're super excited about the new rocket sidearm weapon subtype launching this Friday in the new Warlord's Ruin dungeon. This sidearm archetype should give folks more of an opportunity to counteract barrier champions with this season's artifact, even if they aren't leaning into the solar radiant artifact perks or existing intrinsic anti-barrier exotics. This is the only one where I'm like, I don't think this is the answer, because guess what? The new rocket sidearm archetype is going to be only in the dungeon, as far as we know. And that is a sold separately $20 add-on to this season. It is not part of the season. So while I have the dungeon pass, obviously, and I could get that, a lot of people are not going to have that option, and they'll have to use normal sidearms. Granted, they have implemented a lot of intrinsic anti-barrier stuff. Obviously, Wish Ender is one of the best things to use on Earth for this. And then we have Revision 0, which they just gave up. That's the one they gave 100% buff to champions or something. So that's extremely good. And then with all the Radiant mods in the artifact for Solar this season, it is extremely possible to have all your guns be anti-barrier all of the time, essentially. So that's what they're saying. I don't know. I feel like they could end up... It's 6 months, so I feel like they could end up putting another one in there eventually. Like, I get what they're saying, but saying there's a new rocket sidearm in the dungeon, like, I don't think that's really the solution they think it is. And then finally, Fireteam Finder launches this season. There's a raid stress test that starts tomorrow. We're excited to see how Fireteam Finder beta rolls out as we head toward a full feature launch currently planned for late January. And we can't wait for everyone to see what's in Warlord's Ruin. Okay. Yeah, I got like a quest, not a quest, but like a pop-up for Fireteam Finder, and they're like, check out Fireteam Finder in your thing. And I like go there and it's blacked out and I like can't click on it. And like the message isn't going away because I'm supposed to click on it. And then we just stayed like this until I exited the tower. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I said before, like, I think it might be a little too late, but I guess better late than never. And already I'm realizing that I really wish Fireteam Finder existed for the coil right now. But I'm, happy using not happy, but I'm using the Fireteam Finder app in the interim. So what does all this mean? So besides the amazing Iron Banner ornament news, it's pretty crazy that they deleted the starter pack from the store within a day of it coming out. It was kind of an unprecedented situation because content creators, like myself included, were all making videos or articles or whatever about starter pack instead of like, the coil is cool or whatever season start first impression things you would normally do. That doesn't usually happen ever. Like, the beginning of seasons are supposed to be like the main time that everyone's like kind of excited about Destiny again and like there's some cool things and check this out and blah blah blah. But it was consumed by the starter pack drama, so it's crazy to see them actually delist it. I mean, I think it's the right decision. I do think the Datto video is what tipped them over the edge with this absolutely brutal end card, just torching Bungie. So that was interesting. And then the follow-up of a lot of communication. Once again, this isn't because the comms team got fired and now they have a new comms team that's better. All of the stuff that comes through comms, like, it's not just the person controlling the D2 team account, who I assume is one of the people who are left on the social media team, and they have to get approval to say all of this stuff. So that's like a boss level decision. And if there is more communication now or less communication before, this is all higher up stuff. And like, though they are the vessel to use the Destiny 2 team account, which has barely been used for a couple weeks before this, that is the decision of the bosses. So not that the bosses are doing something amazing, but like they finally seem to have at least gotten part of the message as of, the kind of backfiring launch yesterday, or 2 days ago. I think I saw Bife say this, where this can't just happen when things are like horrific and there's some giant drama happening. I said yesterday, like, this was the top story on our Destiny 2, our games. Like, the starter pack was the story. So, they hit an emergency button and, doled out all this communication and yeah, good job. But like, they have to do this all the time. Like, this is how communication should be. And as much as I'll give them credit for like this one specific day and this one specific string of communication things, that is something they need to do more. And, at this point, I can kind of agree with them doing this whole faceless community team, social team thing, because God only knows how much Deej, then DMG, and Liana, like how much they had to just bear as the forward-facing community managers before this, using their personal Twitter accounts as essentially being the spokes vessel for Bungie. And then during Liana's tenure, they made, and maybe during DMG's, they made the Destiny 2 team account to kind of combat this. But all I ever saw Liana doing was people still spamming comments on her thing and her being like, please go check out the Destiny 2 team account. This is my personal account. And like, Lord knows it didn't do anything. And like, obviously we have like Cosmos still there, who's, I'm sure an integral part of this. Bruno and Timon are the non-fired community managers, as far as I know. Andy is on the Shilsro team after Griffin got fired. There's some other people, but I sort of agreed, like, this nebulous D2 team identifier, given what's happened, even if it seems less personal, like, yeah, but there's kind of a good reason it seems less personal after DMG was like literally threatened in real life. So I get it. The point is, though, this level of communication needs to be allowed by the comms team in the future, outside of just TWABs, like active communication, active engagement, stuff like that. So hopefully this will continue and things will get better. It's going to be a long season, literally and figuratively. We are going to see some record player count lows. Like, I'll say that right now. This is already the lowest debut for a season, I think, period, at least in recent memory, which is not unexpected given the recent low player counts at the end of which. But I don't know. I mean, the coil's a good activity. We're at least off to a strong start. In that regard, it's just the quality of the seasons hasn't really mattered at this point. I thought Witch was a great season overall, but didn't do anything. But I will still be playing, at least for a while, and we will see when it sort of runs out of steam or whatever, like when I get all the crafted weapons or whatever I'm trying to do. But 6 months is a long time. And we know there's not going to be a 30th anniversary thing to break it up. There's this Into the Light thing that cannot be that big, so we'll see. But yeah, so there will be plenty more to talk about, but yesterday was certainly a very interesting day, and I just wanted to do a little commentary on that. I did write an article about this to a certain extent, but I wanted to go a little bit more into